Ang bigat ng soft drinks, anong milk is. So, yun ang pag-plan. So, ano bebenta niya lang doon? So, the problem is with us pala, as the leader, as the man. Yeah? O, let's say, hindi ang problema tayo. Sasabihin, oh, bakit? One din ako, salesman A. Bakit 700,000 cases ka lang, hindi 1 million? Why 70%? Well, sir, kasi yung area ng, this is actual. Sir, kasi yung area ng Santa Elena, sa may Quezon po, sa may Quezon, Bicol area. I think some of you have been there, Bicol, Quezon. Sir, kasi yung area ng Santa Elena, pagdating ng mga alas 4, hinaharang na ako ng nice people. Actual yun, ha? Hinihingian na ako ng... So yun, so hindi ko mapuntahan yung rota ko para bentahan ng soft drinks, yung mga sari-sari ko. Kasi hinihintay na ako. Dito na lang ako rota. Yeah. So yun, that's a natural problem. So tayo lang as a leader, as a manager, we have to find ways. So ano ba dapat gawin natin? Diba? Strategy. Strategize. Diba? Kami, well, we have the means kasi we pay them mahumihingi. Hindi bigyan namin. Hindi na hinaharap yung truck. So yun, so things like that. So those are the challenges natin as leaders, as managers. How to manage things, di ba? And let's say hindi na sales volume. Reports na lang, kasi most of you here are in the offices. Let's say you are a department head. As a department head, you're supposed to deliver 10 reports a month. 10 reports a month yung department mo. Kaya lang, yung department mo is only delivering to head office 8 reports a month. So, anong objective? Anong quota? 10, di ba? Ano yung actual? 8. So, the efficiency rating is what? 80%. So, yun. So, what do you do? So, all these things now is to correct, diba? That's problem solving. So, if you do KRA, KPI, then you will become effective in OD change management. That is what this framework is saying to us. If you do OD, organizational analysis, you're doing this already. If you're doing HR communication, you're doing this. If you're doing KRA, KPI, you're doing this. Okay. So, medyo mahabang kwento pa, no? Anyway, ipa-fast forward natin ito. Okay, next to KRA, KPI is competency-based. Okay. Because a competency is based on a KRA. Hindi ka pwede magkaroon ng competency-based HR kung wala kang KRA. Kaya, may step ahead of competency. Competency, ang ibig sabihin ng competency? Kasi yung mga OD consultants ng araw and theory thinkers ng araw, they're very good in coming up with words. Competency. Curriculum. Sensitivity. Training. Very, mysterious terms. But competency is what? When you say competency, ang ibig sabihin lang nito is skills. When you say competency, skill. ESTA. Yun. Pagka may skill yung tao mo, competence siya. Iba-iba nga naman level of competency. May level 1, may technical yan, awareness, level 2, knowledge, level 3, skills, as level 4, yung expert. But important thing is that may competence and skill. So, if your people under you may competency na to do MS Word, MS Excel, makagawa na ng report para sa inyo. Diba? Kung yung mga tao nyo may competency na to do balance sheet, or do AR, accounts receivable, or accounts payable, then pwede nyo na pakinabangan ng tao yun. May competency na siya. Ngayon, kung walang competency, because you are the leader, it's your moral obligation now to train. Why should we train? Because Again, it's integrity. Pag integrity kanina, we are paid. Well tayo by our organizations to train our people so that they will be effective. So they can do the reports. So the reports can be submitted to NCR, to Manila. And then decision ng secretary of so and so. And then whether to release the budget or not to release the budget. So all these things. Okay, so competency. Now, once you have a collection of competency, you now have a compilation known as curriculum. Tama ba? Next na curriculum na. Kasi you cannot have a curriculum unless you have a competency. So curriculum, for those of you who are in academe, kasi may academe kanilang umaga, they were from St. Paul and some university pa, no? Sabi na mga CPA, mga accounting. Curriculum is what? It's just a training program or an academic program which is compiled together. Yun lang. It is a set of skills or a set of academic program compiled together logically. Meaning, curriculum for IT, information technology. Yun. So when you say curriculum for IT department, lahat ba kayo may IT department in your offices? Halos lahat, di ba? Then, mas common na lang. Curriculum for accounting functions in your offices. Because I think all of you have accounting departments. Curriculum for accounting functions. So, ano kaya yung mga competencies, KPIs na will be found in the curriculum? Ano kaya? Bookkeeping, ano ba? Cost accounting, ano ba? Ledger, JV, journal voucher, PNL, profit and loss, FF, yun. So yan lahat, pagka pinagsama-sama mo na yun, that's already a curriculum. And why do we have that? Because we will use that as leaders, as managers, to train our people. Kasi baka mahina sila sa ledger, o sa balancing, o sa what's called this, receivables, o sa payables, then we will train them. So that our unit can deliver. Para makasubmit tayo ng financial statement sa Manila, sa office, at i-approve, at ibabalik sa atin, budget na. Then we can have the roads built, dito sa sharing kanina umaga, we can have the roads built na to summer and later. And so all these things really are very, very connected. Now, why are we discussing this? Because this is a best practice. Meaning, Singapore is doing this. That's why they became the Malaysia is doing this. Thailand is doing this. So tayo sa Philippines, we're doing this, but not all organizations, not all companies, not all. So if we're not doing this, let's do this to be more effective. Why? Because this is already tested. Hindi na natin kailangan tanungin na, yung KPI na yan, wala yan, hindi totoo yan. No, this is already tested. This is a given already. If you have a KRA KPI system in place in your unit, the probability is that your unit will be very effective. Kasi objective, very objective-oriented siya. Diba? 1 million cases a month. 10 reports a month. Diba? Very objective-oriented siya. Kaya kami tinatawag na MBO, diba? Management by Objective. Okay, curriculum-based. Sunod dyan is rewards. Performance management. Okay. So when you put this together, yung mga tao natin are already capable, kasi na-train na natin sila. Then you can already give them the performance-based HR management, which is actually katugtong. Hiniwalay natin, hinimay lang natin, pero ilabas mo naman. Because actually mag-asawa yan, yung dalawa. Performance-based management is actually also rewards and penalty. Meaning, pagka yung tao natin nag-hit ng 1 million cases a month, anong bibigyan natin sa kanya? Penalty, reward? Reward! Very good. Pero kung yung tao natin humihit lang ng 70%, ano bibigyan natin? Reward or penalty? Yes, but not kaagad. Di ba? Change management eh. Kung sabi muna natin, oh, bata, anong problema? Tapos yun na nga, sabi ko nga sa'yo, binigay mo yung gulong sa akin, puro retreat. Kaya yung baterya ko, hindi naman ramp car, hindi motor light. Gawa lang sa, whatever. Or, I have a lot of problems in my environment. May mga hoodlum, hinaharang yung rota ko. Ganyan. So yun, as a manager, as a leader, kailangan, kaya nga sabi ng ABB, strong leaders, kailangan we should be problem solvers. So, ang galing yung dynamism of all these things when you look at it. So yeah, so performance management is really giving rewards to those who perform and not penalty kaagad, but corrective measures. Either i-train mo, kakausapin mo. Pagka sumablay pa rin, again, leadership style na yun. Is either i-train mo ulit or i-penalize mo kaagad. Depende sa leader eh. May leader na gano'n eh. I-train, tapos titignan. Kung okay, very good. Pero pagka hindi, penalize kaagad para maleksyon. May mga leader na gano'n. That's your call. May mga iba naman, hindi. Second chance. Leader, tawag doon, leadership style. Yung style ni Juan, hindi style ni Pedro. So, even ang leadership style. Mamaya, we will look at a very good leader, si Lee Kuan Yew. Mamaya, tignan natin yung leadership style. And he is doing all these things long before it became known as, this guy is very advanced kasi si Lee Kuan Yew. I'm sure inabot to si Lee Kuan Yew. Kasi 1970s, 80s pa yun, si Lee Kuan Yew. And imagine the economic miracle ng Singapore. Wala pa yung mga ganitong sistema na to, he had this already. Saka na lang nilagyan ng mga pangalan ng 80s, 90s na lang, 2000. Pero wala pa yung mga names na yan. Lee Kuan Yew was already doing this. Wala pa terminology. Ang tawag na lang doon, leadership. It's my style. That's how I do it. Mamaya, we will look at how he does it. It's very magical. And then next is partnering. Strategic partnering. Meaning, as change management people, OD people, kayo, now that you know this, it is your integrity now, it is your calling, that as a strategic partner, you ought to help the other departments in your government agency, or in your business, or in your... Example, anong departments, what department are you from? Not the organization, but unit. Is it accounting? Is it auditing? Is it admin? Okay. You are from admin. Very good example pala. Because admin are supposed to be very good with this kasi trabaho natin. Because you are very good in admin, because that's your work, you're supposed to be good in strategic partnering. Meaning, baka naman yung department natin na iba, what are the other departments in PIR? May purchasing din sila, di ba? Legal, ano ba? Collection. Let's say the collection department is kind of not delivering. Nandun sila sa KPI na 70%. Oh, because you are admin, you're very good at it, you must help them. Turuan ninyo. Paano? Teach them how to do KPI. Teach them how to do performance management. Sabihin nyo sa head ng collection, oh, Mars ha, tinuruan na natin yung mga tao ng KPI dito. Pagka yung mga tao mo, next month, nag-hit na ng target, o i-reward natin. Whatever is allowed in the government. Pagka hindi, usapin ulit, kung hindi, penalize. So, ano ba yung rule book? In the private sector, we call it Code of Conduct, Company Rules and Regulations. In the government, it's also Code of Conduct, isn't it? So we have to see, iba lang naman ang tao sa atin. So meaning, what HR strategic partnering is saying is that if you already know somehow OD and change management, it is now vested upon you to help the other departments also. Tulungan nyo sila. Why? Bakit natin kailangan tulungan? Because we're one organization. Sabi dun sa Cebu, one team, one goal. Sa Cebu. Okay, what else? Aside from being one organization. Ano sabi dun sa video kanina? Yung in-enumerate yung mga flag. Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. Ano yung competition? Really, actually, supposed to be cooperation, but in reality, it's really competition. How can we compete? How can we compete with the very aggressive Vietnamese, or the oil-rich Malaysian, and the oil-rich Indonesian, or the financially rich Singapore? Eh kung tayo, wala na, kung tayo masyadong oil, wala tayo masyadong ano, tapos hindi pa tayo tutulungan. Diba? Hindi pa tayo tutulungan. So, mas lalo tayo go down. Because that's how Singapore started. They have no natural resources when they separated from Malaysia. Kasi Singapore was under Malaysia. But we don't know that later. Singapore was under Malaysia. And when they left Malaysia, wala, they had nothing. They started from scratch. Ang puhunan lang nila is cooperation. Tulong-tulong. And sinuwerte sila, they had a very strong leader in the Sinarating economy. That's why the example of the Now, if you do all these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, collectively, that is OD already. When you do all these things collectively, that is already OD. Now, there is one more. The last slide. We said earlier, OD and change management is 1%. Yes. We just separated it a little. Why? Because change management is a new term. Diba? Karamihan, most of people know OD because it's been around for the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s. But change management is kind of new. So we just placed there change management. And also because the impetus for change management is really not so much on development. Development is really nice to have. The impetus of change management is urgent. Alam mo yung concept of time management? Sa time management, yung concept of how do we balance time? Dalawa yun eh. Yung isa, important. Yung isa, urgent. Kasi we have some activities na important, pero hindi urgent. Like planning. Pwede natin do planning for 1 week or 1 month. Diba? Pero ano yung mga urgent, pero hindi naman important. Pero urgent. Kailangan gawin ngayon. Pero hindi naman talaga masyadong important. Ano yun? Answering a phone. Urgent yun, sagutin mo. Pero hindi natin really important. Diba? Concept of time management yan eh. It's balancing what is important and what is important and urgent. There are some things that are important but not urgent. Diba? And there are some things that are urgent but not important. So, kailangan alamin natin ano yun. Pag alam nyo, then you can manage your time better. Eh, ginulo pa tayo lalo ng mga OD, change management consultants. Meron pang urgent na importante pa. And then meron pang not urgent, not important pa. Ginawang apat, mga yung quadrant. So yun, we just have to reflect. Ano pa talaga dito urgent? So you just list activities nyo, and then para ma-manage yung time nyo. So that yung 8 o'clock natin, yung 5, every day, Monday to Friday, is a productive day, is a productive. Now, change management, as I said, urgent as in the ASEAN economic integration. This is urgent, and this is important. This is important, and at the same time urgent. It's important because it will affect all countries. It's important. And it's also urgent because 2015 yan. Hindi na 2014, tapos na, hindi na 20. It's already 2015, meaning this is already the year, the actual launching of the ASEAN Economic Integration. So, urgent now. So, we have to act now. Huwag na natin sabihin, next year na yan, 2016. Hindi. Vietnam already started as early as late last year. Singapore started a long time. Tayo, Philippines, medyo ngayon lang tayo nag-uusap. Diba? Kasi after this, tomorrow, kakusapin nyo naman yung mga tao nyo to tell them about the ASEAN Economic Integration. So yung dissemination, bukas pa lang mangyari sa respective units nyo when we go back to our respective areas. Diba? So, kumbaga ngayon pa lang tayo nag-mobilize. Kumbaga sa gera, yung Army Navy, ngayon pa lang tayo nag-mobilize. Pero yung kabila, Thailand, Vietnam, naka-mobilize na sila. So, yun, urgent na ngayon sa akin. Now, when you do all these things, then become very, very effective as OD and change management practitioners. It's a very practical tool. For those of you now in admin HR, kaya nyo na gawin ito because kailangan nyo gawin it. It's your work. But for those who are not yet in HR or personal admin, you can use this eventually if you never move to HR, or because if you have people under you, you have to do this because pag may tao ka, kailangan mong gawin ito. Even if you're not from personnel or HR. If you're from collection, from legal, you have to do this because you have people under you. If you're a businessman, entrepreneurial, because may mga tao ka under you, hindi ka naman one store, one-man army. Diba? May mga tao ka. Diba? May kahera ka. Meron kang waiter. May cook. May ano ka. Diba? So we have people under us if you're a restaurant owner. So all these things comprises the best practices of OD and change management. And all this will make us very effective. Okay. We will now go to the Jazza tape. Jazza tape. Who is Jazza? Very good. Jaime Augusto Subel Ayala. Ayala family, one of the pillars of the Philippine economy. Diba? Kasi 1800s pa sila. Kasabayan yan nila Soriano. Sino sila Soriano? San Miguel. Yes. Yan. Sila Ugarte. Sila sila Lopez. Sila Araneta, Ortigas. Then bago na lang to, sila Manny Pangilinan. Bago na lang yun eh. Diba? Wala pa naman yan, 1950s dito na lang sila. Diba? Well, because they have the backing of the religions. So, the Ayala family is one of the pillars of our economy. So we will learn something from them, from him specifically. So we will listen to an interview by a renowned journalist of Rappler, interviewing Mr. Ayala. We will go to the sequence. There are winners and so take this in the context of this, So there, ito, ASEAN Economic Integration. Take this in the concept of ASEAN Economic Integration. Or globalization, shortcut din lang, globalization. Okay, Jazza. So move this to the katulad ng learning, yung towards the okay. Okay. May sound. Nga, tapunan natin. This is going to let's play it. So this is Mr. Ayala. The Ayalas, they own Greenbelt. Brilliant. BPI.
Thank you for joining us.
Let's start. Towards the right. What is morning? This morning. Yung may questions yung nasa name card natin, yung last item. It's like what we did in the morning. Towards the right pa, move it. Grabe yung technology na. Remember, 10 years ago, wala kang ganito. Tatandaan niyo yung mga overhead project. Pwede pa tayo, no? Kartolina. Inabot niyo ba yun? Kartolina pang naman, no? Manila paper, di ba? Eh, sino na lang gumagamit ng snow paper yun? Sa computer. Kasi erap na lang. Kasi nalagyan ng snow paper. Touching ko. Okay, sige. Let's listen.
But a last report, this report by the ABB, 77% of the companies that they say,
Okay, not aware though. Filipinos are not aware of the ASEAN integration.
what is that gap? I mean, the companies who are supposed to manage this program, you go to the people on the street, they barely know what ASEAN is.
Well, I think some countries are more advanced than others. We tend to be a little bit insular around the ASEAN arena. I think a lot of it came from the fact that we've had one big crisis and one smaller one. Back in 1997, there was a large Asian crisis. You know, there was a lot happening in Asian countries in the 90s. People forget that. 97 happened and people retreated back to their homes and their country and national boundaries. And then they started coming out again in 2008 hit, and that was a more global phenomenon, and people paused again. I think there has been a natural movement, while many companies are not fully aware, a lot of them must be small and medium-sized entities. I generally think that they've all been adjusting in their own way to a new reality, and even if they don't really know it, they're
New reality.
the price of goods, the way
Change
things are done,
management.
how transactions
New reality
not
na
everybody is
nangyayari sa atin.
cognizant of a broad framework that drives it. They're just cognizant of the way they move their goods on a daily basis, and that has become more efficient and more cost-effective, and
You have to be efficient, cost-effective. Okay.
which have been really demand for that is doing very well.
Anything like this.
Okay, wait, pause. This is a very important point. Dinig ba sa iyo, sa likod? This is a very important point, ha? Sige, play. Yung question. Could lose.
Well, I think the ones who will lose are the ones who will be comfortable or thrive in a highly protected environment. I think there are less and less of those industries. Of course, they still exist. But anyone who has not had the kind of pressures to bring down costs, to be more efficient, to take productivity up, to look for talent that is imaginative, find solutions, anyone in industries that is very closed, will invariably have a tough time adjusting. Anyone in export industries, by their very nature, are usually quite competitive, if not they wouldn't be able to thrive. So those are already okay. It's maybe very entrenched domestic industries that have lived in a fairly protected environment that will have a tough time.
How prepared is the Ayala Group? What are your plans?
Well, I like to think that really, actually, I think through all our companies, we're all in very competitive industries. The real estate is very competitive across the board. The banking sector is very competitive, much more so than ever before. Water distribution, of course, is a monopoly, but highly regulated and with some very tight controls. And then you have a couple of export industries that have had to deal in a global environment. We're as prepared, I think, as can be. We like an environment where there's a lot of transparency, where the rules
Transparent,
clear, is encouraging that. This is good for us.
Well, thank you very much.
Not at all, Maria. It's always a pleasure.
Good. So that was an interview by one of our pillars of economy, the Ayala family, represented by Jaja. So he's saying that transparency is needed, okay? Efficient, talked about productivity. How do you increase productivity? How do you increase productivity? KRA, KPI. Diba? Productivity yun eh. If your current output ng tao natin is 70%, maging 80% yan, that's an improvement of productivity. Isn't it? Oh. That's what he was saying, productivity. And then efficiency, no waste. No? Transparency, it's a trust environment. Walang lokohan. What the Pope is saying, take out the corruption.